what we're seeing in Australia is the curve of COVID-19 infections obviously flattening. In terms of the housing market, still evolving to these new conditions whereby we can't have open homes, we can't have auctions on site. But I think the good news is that the housing market's still open for business and people can still buy, sell and rent properties. Yes, things are a bit slower than they have been. It's a bit more of a challenging environment in order to sell or lease a property. But we're still seeing transaction activity happening, albeit just not as strong as it was before we went into this shutdown period. It's really pretty early to tell what effect it's having on the market, but we are seeing fewer new properties coming up for sale on the market. We're seeing actually quite a big increase in rental properties being listed. We think that that's really the impact of a lot of Airbnb properties being taken out of the short-term rental market and put into the long-term rental market. But we're seeing demand is actually holding up reasonably well. We're seeing more search activity than we were a year ago. We've seen consecutive weeks in which search activity has increased. But what we're not really clear on is if that's actually going to translate into transactions. People are sitting at home with not much to do. Everything about their home is annoying them, so they're probably looking for a new property, but I don't know that they're necessarily going to act on that straight away. We knew going into the COVID-19 crisis that demand for properties was very strong, and I expect that we're going to see very strong demand for property coming out of it as well. The big question will remain what happens with supply. We know that before COVID-19, a lot of people were looking for properties, but a lot of people weren't in a position where they're actually advertising their property for sale. And that's what I'm saying about having a bit more time on their hands over the next few months. People might come out of this and say, okay, I'm ready to move home. Let's get it listed. Let's get it sold. So I think that the housing market in particular has a strong possibility of a fairly rapid and strong rebound, especially when you consider how low interest rates are and the pent-up demand for housing. You've got a lot more time to research properties than you typically have when the market's strong. And you may just have to jump at one or two properties that are available for sale. Now there's not a lot of properties for sale, but there's a lot of time to understand exactly what you want going forward.